Good evening and welcome. This is on the table discussion that is sponsored by the Legacy Foundation of Lake County, and it's hosted by the Association for the Wolf Lake Initiative, of which I am the executive director. And we'll be talking tonight about reconnecting with nature. And our discussion tonight will be, I think, quite different than we had last night. So, and we're still probably waiting for one or two people to come yet, but I'd like to get this started by having everyone introduce themselves and tell us why you're here. So we start with you.
Okay, I'm Mary Kuzniar. I'm a member of OLLI, and I'm here because reconnecting with nature is urgent on so many levels. I think it's an important topic, and I'd like to be part of it.
And you're taking notes, correct? You're the note taker.
Jamie Bobrick and Mary and I, or for myself, reconnecting to nature is the key to everything, actually. And we wanted to bring just to help as much as we can with being with the watershed knowledge and really get that moving, because without connecting to nature, we don't have the watershed. So that's why I feel that goes hand in hand, the watershed and reconnecting.
Yeah. My name's Mary Bobrick, and just like what Jamie says, I believe in reconnecting with nature. It's vitally important that we start at the basics, at the very bare bottom. We have to clean up the mess that's been left before us before we can even think about making honest, real changes and moving forward. We have to fix what's been broken at the same time as trying to move forward. So it's detrimental to all living creatures.
Okay, hi, I'm Abby. I was also here last night. I think reconnecting with nature is important because I've loved nature ever since I was a little kid. I come from a family that's very environmentally conscious, particularly my mom. And I think that nature just brings everyone a lot of peace. It just makes me feel so much calmer. And not only is it good for me on an individual level, but it's good for the planet as a whole, which is, I mean, if our planet isn't healthy, then none of us can really be. And we've unfortunately done a lot of damage and taken away a lot of nature over the years, and the planet isn't in as good of a state as it was.
Do you mind if I borrow your thing that the planet isn't healthy? How can we be healthy?
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you. I like that.
Derek Friday.
Hey, Derek.
I'm a commercial diver. I'm here to study the watersheds in order to help clean up the pollution that's been going on. I feel like that's a very severe problem in our society, that not a lot of people care towards the amount of pollution that's going on, and it really is killing off parts of the planet, and we need to address that.
All right, Derek. And tonight, I think our discussion, a lot of it's going to be talking about the problems of the industrial area of not only Lake County, Indiana, but also parts of Cook County in Illinois. And you folks, most of you have been working both in Cook County and in Lake County, with Hammond and with Whiting, as well as with City of Chicago.
Yes.
So you're probably about as bi-state as I am.
Mm-hmm.
But, so let's go around, and you're working with Indian Creek, the three of you,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
and so probably your main focus is on Indian Creek, but there are other parts of the watershed that you're interested in. So why don't you kind of explain what you're doing
Okay.
around the watershed, and then other people can pipe in after you.
That sounds good. One of the things that Mary and I have discovered is that in order for this to work, you have to address it as a watershed. And the reason that is because a watershed brings people together. The watershed is life. To get what we've learned is we need to have the stakeholders. And with Indian Creek, this is how important Wolf Lake is to this region. Indian Creek lets out 66% of all of Northwest Indiana's water. That's the only outlet. Yet nobody thinks the same that's important. They don't understand that last year it was changed to a fish tributary from 6 hard years of work from everybody that proved that there is life in teaming. So that's been changed. How is it we get people involved? That we have to understand. Right now, Indian Creek is in such a dire strait, Mike. If anybody eats fish out of there, bioaccumulation means this young lady say she's an amoeba. Well, that amoeba has to eat something smaller than that. Well, you take that small fish and it keeps going. When it gets to that one fish that's our size and we eat it, because it's been bioaccumulated, we can get sick immediately. And that is official. They've deemed it that. Yet, here's what the 10th Ward did. They laughed. John laughed. I haven't talked to John in about 3 months.
Okay.
He's like, why are you so upset, Jamie? I said, what are you talking about, John? I said, kids are fishing here and people could die. Well, we worked things out. He understood how serious this is. Nobody's taking this serious, Michael. How do we get the people involved? Because we need her, we need him, we need you, we need Mary. We need a coalition. This is where, because the Wolf Lake watershed is connected to all of the one watershed, which is at 350 feet, the bedrock. There's the park district has its own watershed now, all their parks. Then you have Wolf Lake. Then you have Hyde Lake and Hyde Marsh. They're all connected. They're all one. But yet, we're split. One of the things that has to happen is everything has to come together as one watershed that contributes to one main source. And I feel, especially with the companies out there, they want to help, but nobody's approaching them. They have interest.
Yeah.
So on the industrial side, I took Derek out there the other day, and he felt very uncomfortable. Did the water bother you?
The amount of pollution that was there, I still have a nosebleed.
He actually got sick. That's how bad this was when we left.
And this was in
Indian Creek. In fact, he got water on him because we had to move some stuff, and it was bothering him.
Were you guys, where I got sick?
Yeah, that's where Mary got sick too. That's how bad it is there.
Yeah.
That's going into Wolf Lake. Now you have Indiana terminals here.
And to explain that a little bit further, with the elevation of Lake Michigan rising,
Every 6
Indian
minutes.
Creek that
What is with
normally
that? Yes.
normally flows into Lake Michigan now is reversing.
Exactly.
I've actually did with Gary. We came up. He had me do about a month's study.
Yes.
I actually have identified flow patterns there now. Every 6 minutes, I get the height in Calumet Harbor. He was with me the other day. We were cleaning out a runoff from Cargill, and I said, Derek, look at it. Everything reversed. And then what happened 6 minutes later?
Just came right up.
Every 6 minutes, our lake rises. It was 581.60. Within 6 minutes, it dropped to 581.01, and it's just like a vacuum.
Yeah.
So it pulls everything out of the Calumet River, but 6 minutes later, it's reversed.
Yeah.
We don't even have a time schedule, and we have flow in there now. It's at an all-time high. It's almost 6 feet over from 86.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no Indian Creek. Do you remember Indian Creek? We went back there and I showed you the one little
Right.
exit. It's all gone. It's been washed away. It's one big open.
On Labor Day, I went out there and
You saw that,
I
right?
saw it, and I was really surprised. Because I knew what I normally see when I go
Yeah,
back
yeah.
there.
It's gotten
And
so
it was level. You didn't know which way the water was going.
So deceiving.
PVS Chemical right there. We were supposed to do their shoreline with native species to bring it back to natural.
Yeah.
It's on hold because it's so high. It's penetrating their foundation.
Okay.
This is all connected to Wolf Lake.
Yeah. yeah, that company is right up there.
You know,
And they're very active in the community. They're one of the few that have gone out of their way to put silencers on their equipment. They open up tours we've done there. They want to help with Indian Creek when we get to that point because they're fishermen. A kid grew up in Northwest Indiana, the general manager.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get him on coming to the meetings
Yeah.
because I truly believe that any company on Indian Creek has ownership of Wolf Lake
Yeah.
because PVS is using 8 million gallons a day in 24 hours. They pull it in, it cools off, and they're putting in a cleaner product. That's wonderful. But
it's non-contact water, right?
yes, and we just, those companies we need, and look at around Wolf Lake. You know, the terminals that do the chemical cleaning, Illinois finally took them to court, and they're in litigation to shut them down because they found out they had some tests. They were dumping some nasty stuff right into Wolf Lake.
Yeah,
How did they get away with this shit?
yeah.
This is 2020, 2019, and these guys are dumping stuff out of rail cars. And nobody cares.
Yeah.
Jamie's got to put black stuff on his face, go hide in there like undercover one, and I had to prove it.
Yeah.
I found an employee who couldn't take it anymore. I got him, and he turned on his company and did a deposition.
Huh?
They were putting guys in those cars without respirators.
Okay.
That's how bad that is. Well, the state finally took care of it. They're trying to close them down. Wolf Lake is a jewel.
Yeah.
And people don't care. I don't understand that. This is a time of caring.
Okay.
And it's there's so few of us, but everybody I know wants to help.
Yeah.
It's just we have to really start catching them. And I know when I get tours of Indian Ridge Marsh, when they're done, they come back and they volunteer a couple times.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do that. I'll do anything for that Wolf Lake and Indian
Yeah.
Creek.
Everybody's got to help out, right? I would think.
I feel like we need to get the EPA involved, like send them like water test samples of the amount of pollution that's in the lakes, and I feel like they might step up from doing something like that.
Is that US EPA
Well,
or
to give you
Illinois
a
EPA?
heads up, all that's been done, Derek, that's why that site that you were at, that's a super fund. That was one of only 2 that was selected this year. All the water samples have been done, all the core samples, and I've sent you those reports to break it down where it's like 4,000 lead, 4,000 parts per million. If it's more than 800, that's immediate remediation. It's sitting there, immediate. How do they justify that, Mike?
Huh.
I'm more interested in how do we get the public notified that fishing or swimming within this area.
We've been told don't
is
do
not
that because it's
even-
going to bother
You can't
the
eat it, you can't play with
tourists.
it.
Yeah. We don't worry about tourists at this point.
Well,
I
no.
know.
The
but we've been-
signage, you know, you've been
How do we
working with
come up with
signage.
that? I mean, I've had a seizure.
Yeah.
I've had a heart attack right there on those very creeks.
Him.
Because, and then he was sick today.
Yeah.
So I feel like it also, there's just like so much responsibility to let people know and
Something's
It's
being
not right.
Something is not. The reason I say that, up north they had that scare with the company that was purifying surgical equipment.
Yep.
They were releasing into the air that was 1 to 2 points above 3 times the normal background. Doesn't mean immediate. Yet in Hagwish, East Side, and we were at, it's mandatory removal and nobody did anything. How do they justify that? You know why? Because Pitzer got involved and it was money, it was in Northbrook. Look where we're at. How can they, for 10 years, just not understand or look at it?
it's been longer than 10 years. We've been treated like a stepchild of
And I'm just
Chicago
seeing
forever.
more of that, where I think the new mayor is gonna step up on this. I've sent her a couple emails trying to tell her our story, what's going on. I've talked with Peggy. Peggy's overwhelmed. They're just, they've lost people. They don't have the staff anymore. And, you know, like tonight, I really thought, you know, John was gonna be here. I thought a couple other people had told me we were gonna come, because, you know, hey, this is important. You know, I'm looking forward to November 1st.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
And back to your question, I think it should be on a federal level and not just a state level, because I feel like the federal level, they're going to do more about it. So that's the part, is just getting there.
And the US EPA has been
Oh, yeah, the feds are.
active at Wolf Lake now.
Yep.
And, but they really, I imagine, need others to become involved.
Yes, what's gonna happen, they're actually gonna build a community center eventually right there. They get the community involved before anything else. And I've been talking with them to learn how this goes on, and they are actually, I've given them your name. I said, you need to contact this person because he's a watershed there, and it goes into here. Karen has your name. I've given her like Levi's name. People who are important to this watershed and what goes through the shroud. She said right now, they went over all the responses that were online. Starting September 1st, she said was going to go looking at the different kind of contractors that they need for out there and the amount. And she came back, it's over 1 million cubic yards of what we've talked about past of getting rid of. So, and it's a long process. It could be up to 20 to 30 years. I mean, Karen's my age and she's coming to retire doing this, so you know.
She knows where she's going to be, right?
So you know it's going to be some time. And nobody really knows on the quickness of startup. It's been approved. It's just how she moves, because you have to have all these community meetings. You have to educate the community to get involved, to be stewards of this. So there's a lot of activation of community stuff that's going to be coming up, I hope. So, it's all.
Sure, that's how they do it.
Hey, the last thing I read about is my Shroud property is right across from one of the wonders of Illinois, Wolf Lake. And it's taking this long. And
It looks like it's
we have mud
78.
We have mud puppies in Wolf Lake. Where else can you have a mud puppy that's a prehistoric thing?
Yeah.
And say, hey, I'm from Hagoshi side and I've seen those there. I mean, that's miracle stuff.
And the watershed also includes Eggers.
Yes. And look at that.
And Powderhorn Lake and George Lake here and Wolf Lake. So it's a large area.
Yes, and I actually put some good numbers together for you that I'm going to send to you on how much water is discharged by each plant on the site, how much water comes from sewers I have, how much water I did a formula, and it tells you exactly what discharges through Indian Creek, how much evaporation, so we could really sit down and say, wow, we know where this is going, where it's coming. Hammond's going to be doing some dredging in Wolf Lake by the marina. And
Okay.
I'll let you know about that because that's important.
I think they've been talking about it.
Yeah, we're going to be. There's a good chance we're going to be doing it for them with partnership with Whiting.
Okay.
And that's good soils. All that spoils.
Okay.
That's virgin bottom. That goes to the shoreline. We can't let them just steal it. That goes back to Wolf Lake.
Yeah.
Anything that I truly believe in Wolf Lake that benefits us, we need to put back into it.
Okay, so there is, it's just interesting on how people perceive what reconnecting with nature means. And I think we pretty much discussed what it means to each of us. But when mostly been talking about contamination, and we know that we have to clean up the contamination before the sites are suitable to return to, right?
Yep.
And so and those of us that have been trying to do this over the years, it's taken a lot of time. And we've been, as an organization, we've been trying to do it for 20 years. We know that we're not even close to correcting things. So what else can we talk about? What?
How about is there any junior watershed managers or thing like where you get the high schools involved and they become junior watersheds? It's a program in the EPA.
Yeah, we have. It's interesting. I brought this up last night. We had one of when we're planning for the November 1st meeting. It's an all-day meeting, and I got some information from the Field Museum, and they have 3 programs where they work with students from high schools, and they have Kimby, which is Calumet in my backyard, and that's for high school students. They have Earth Force, which is a national group, and that works with middle school, junior high school students, and then they have Mighty Acorns, which is, and they work with younger elementary students. And I was looking at the high schools that they work with. You know what, I only have one copy of this, I can pass this around. But it lists the schools in southeast Chicago, and Lake County, and Porter County. And so these programs have been proven fairly effective. They've been doing this for 20 years, I think, as long as I've been around. And so this is one program that's working with students at all levels.
How do we bring that across state line to?
Yeah, it's both in
Is it?
Cook County and in Lake and even Porter County.
Oh, what
So,
did they-
so that is one way students are reconnecting with nature. And I think they probably have other programs as well. We don't have any science teachers here, but we do hope to get some science teachers at the November 1st meeting. So we can ask them, well, in lieu of other programs, what are you doing, about getting in touch with nature. And I think in Hegwish, one of the Grissom School,
Yeah, Grissom and Clay.
but Grissom School has done quite a
Grissom's
bit
a
of
very nice-
improvement.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dears Anderson has done a lot of work there.
Right. And so we'll be, do you know the teacher from there that has been working on that?
I just know, I only the principal I know, the little guy.
Okay, but not the teacher. We're trying to get one of the teachers that've been involved with that to speak on November 1st. And
Did you go there yet? Because I could stop there tomorrow.
well, I've been talking with Durs, and Durs has been working on it. So
Yeah.
hopefully he'll come up. So there are programs that have been going on for some time, and I just mentioned the Field Museum, but I think we should be talking to the other schools that aren't, for example, on this list, and find out what they're doing. I know at last night's meeting, Wayne Chimp mentioned that some schools are creating native gardens, and
Oh, very nice.
right?
Yes.
And so it's just because they're not on one list, it doesn't mean that they're not on another list. So, but we have to find out. And
This is suggested for the kids that we could do it, and it's something, I don't know, it's called a bio blitz.
yes, we
We need to do that for Indian Creek and Wolf Lake. That's the basis of a watershed. And if we could get the kids, we could teach them a lot. And that is a quick assessment sheet.
we had one at Wolf Lake in 1970, in 2002. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
In the wrong century.
Is there a way to set one up to do one for 2020? Because that's a long time. And talking to folks, that would benefit for grant monies
Yeah.
and help with when the EPA starts that shroud. I was advised to do a bio blitz of Indian Creek, setting up cameras underwater to see what's coming in and out of Wolf Lake, especially migrating fish or spawning fish and birds. So we got a camera we could do underwater and one above waters. Also, if we prove what's going in, we already have it as a tributary.
Okay.
If we could kick it up to the next level, then that's going to be more grant fund money that we could get to apply. And then in Wolf Lake, if we did a bio blitz and we picked in each pool different camera areas, and we did a day study, 4 hours at this section, 4 hours at this section, and we take all this film together, put it, and we see what we see by film, but at the same time, the following week, you do the bio blitz itself. So you're going in there with the film knowing what you've seen out there.
Yeah.
So if you see a sturgeon come by that is so rare, well, that's proof that kicks it up that notch.
Yeah.
So if that's something that you think that would help out, I would love to get that going. I talked to
That's a huge undertaking.
yeah, that's. I talked to Deers and Gary, and they're the ones, they're kind of guiding us on. But they said to really kick it up is to get the funds we need. We have to do the BioBlitz again to be up to date.
But that,
I want to add to this idea. What if we were to take this BioBlitz and make it an annual event, like a festival, like a 3-day thing?
And that's what a good idea. That's what Gary Sullivan does at Hepburn and stuff. They turn it into what he just said. You actually get to camp overnight. You have a dinner. You have a BioBlitz, and then you even do a BioBlitz at night. And you have different shifts. You let them camp, and it turns into a actual money-making event. Did you know that bird conservation is over a $7 billion a year industry? That's how much money's out there. So doing things like that, I believe those funds just go to the watershed then. And Mary and I are trying to procure those 10 acres back there in Wolf Lake, and I had Deers and Nat to make it's going to be a study area if we get this, with buildings in. So if we could just turn Wolf Lake into more education, Awaken BioBlitz, that's like cool stuff.
now what's where's the 10 acres located?
Management 9.
Okay.
It's 10.5 acres. It's all wetlands. That's for sale. And Mary and I are trying to block it because
Okay.
developers have been there already trenching out. So I reached out to the owner and I told him, if you give it to us, I'll put a conservation easement on it. And I talked to Loyola, a couple other colleges.
On 9, that's north?
Management 9, if you are on Avenue K
Yeah.
and 133rd,
Okay.
you start at the finger of the water and you go east up
Okay.
until
Oh, okay.
into where I live.
Yeah.
And then it goes back. It's 10.5 acres, all wetlands, and it's for sale for $150,000 only.
Wow.
Deers and I've been doing this for about 3 years. It dropped down to 100,000, so companies started looking at it. They want to we can't let them tear that up, Mike.
Yeah.
That's 10.5 acres.
Okay.
And they're also talking about opening up.
But that's a wetland you're talking about.
Yes, somebody
And-
could buy it, and by laws, they could buy it within
Change it.
3 to 4 miles. They have to put the wetlands 2 for 1.
Yeah. That's,
Well, I don't want them to.
yeah, I know.
And you know what this is? This is on the Nike site offices that are back there, some of them. I'll send you all the information so you can see. The reason I also brought that up, maybe that's a grant you could apply for to protect it. And it's called a conservation easement too, because Mary and I,
And since we're hooking up Powderhorn with Wolf
Wolf
Lake,
Lake.
this is like detrimental and important.
we want to turn this into a study, this 10 acres where Gary Sullivan's like, Jamie, what would you do? I said, I'd have a glass house in the wetlands. I'd have this for that. He's like, what are you going to call it? I said, the Nathaniel Miller Center for Education. And Nat heard me and Lance goes, you really going to do that for me? But they're all on board for that.
Yeah.
The only one who wasn't on board was Levi Bray.
Yeah.
He said, I'm too close to retirement, Jamie, I ain't got time for this. So that's the
Okay.
BioBlitz. It opens a lot of doors for us.
Okay.
I think that it's especially important to, get for the BioBlitz and any other environmental event to target, I would say, especially elementary age kids because, first of all, when you get into their brain when they're young, it kind of sticks with them better. And second of all, I remember being in high school and middle school, and I just remember that if an adult said that something was going to be fun, my pubescent brain would automatically decide that it was not going to be fun. and so I feel like if we get them started younger, they'll be more into it, and then they'll hold on to those memories and hold on to
Certainly
those
they
beliefs.
retain
Here,
more,
here.
more energy.
Yeah.
That's why we need someone like you to step up and start hitting these schools with us, because we need that energy. When Mary and I, had children come into like Indian Ridge Marsh,
That's the best stuff.
every third weekend is Stewards Day. I'll get young children, 8 and 9, and their parents will call me after and say, what did you do to my child? It's like, excuse me? My child never talked about nature, and he said you let him hold a snake. Why'd you get my son a snake? I said, I didn't give him a snake. He saw it, he picked it up. I taught him how to do it correctly. They're like, thank you, my son's not playing games today. That's what we have to do, is get these kids at that age when they're impressionable, like you said, because you make sense. I mean, you get these kids out there and they see it, they change.
I really want to add to your idea. I think this is a really good idea. I think we need to get it like a statewide curriculum for every school.
Keep going, Derek, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it should be a mandatory thing that you learn about nature.
Is like where they, which like, it's
you know,
part
like
of the
math
curriculum?
or English, or they should have ecology.
That's state. I'm actually writing that one down. That's a
Actually, there is a portion in the curriculum already in
where at?
Indiana. In Indiana. Now the problem is
But that's the thing. I went to Indiana schools. I don't remember anything like that.
In my high
They
school,
said
it was
it's
an
the
elective.
5 through
yeah.
Indiana schools in.
Right.
We didn't see any ecology.
No.
Like even though they had biology, like I still feel like it's an entirely different study, and I feel like they should bring that to light and make it its own.
It should be a dedicated class, right, Derek?
Yeah, that's
Of
what
just
I feel
ecology.
But right now, it's just a portion of the curriculum at the elementary level.
good idea, dude.
That's it.
Going through the science or.
You should actually have to pass an ecology test in high school like you do a state test, because basic ecology, why did that kid throw garbage out his window? That's basic ecology. Kids need to know, how many kids do you see, they throw their paper, they don't pick it up? Don't get that. That's basic ecology. That's stuff parents should be teaching them, but parents don't do that anymore. Parents got other, I guess, more important than teach their kids to pick up after themselves. So now it's up to the schools to teach them. That's a brilliant idea. Ecology statewide, where you have to pass an actual test to become a citizen. You should have that.
Yeah, because I remember there was an environmental science class offered at my high school, but it was an elective. Like, it wasn't required. I do think it should be required, because I still can't believe how much trash I see people just throwing on the ground. Like, when I was a bit younger and, you know, my friends were a little bit less mature along with me, I don't know if they did this on purpose, but they would always, like, throw things on the ground when they were done with them, and I would always be the one picking them up. And it was, I don't know if they were doing it on purpose or not, but it was so annoying. And just, I don't know, the thought that anybody would even think of doing that.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah, they're more mature now, but, you know, I wish people would teach them younger.
When you were in school, did they talk about environment at all?
Yeah, somewhat.
Somewhat. Did they go into what you should do as a student or as a human to contribute, or was it just touching on it because it was a part of your class?
Well, they talked about it a little bit. I mean, they told us to not litter.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I just feel like they just touched on it and that was it. Like, it really wasn't part of the test or anything like that.
Oh, that's
You know,
interesting.
because I know you would have grabbed your attention, and you would have went differently, possibly, in your education.
Probably.
Wow.
And Mary, what did they teach you about ecology when you were?
Because you were being a retired teacher.
Well, I was a music teacher, so that was not part of what I did. But when I was a kid, there was stuff from the steel mills floating in the air, and that meant everybody had food on the table, so nobody was concerned. We didn't know.
Money was coming because
we didn't
Dad was
know,
working.
but it was hurting everybody, and it just was a sign of prosperity in the neighborhood.
Good point.
And I think, as we mentioned a little bit last night, that in the 50s, 60s, and even 40s, people treated the watershed much, much differently. And now you read some of the drafts of this book, and there's a chapter in there on neighbors to the watershed, their memories of what they were doing. And there is one guy that writes about or talks about, we had a meeting where we just recorded people and then we had it transcribed for the book. And he was talking about getting up early in the morning, going out hunting ducks in the Hammond side of, and then he would go back, get dressed, eat breakfast, and go to school. And others were out trapping, they would catch turtles and sell them to the cooks in restaurants. But they saw the watershed as, you know, in that light.
Mm-hmm.
But no one today sees the watershed
No.
in that light.
No.
And because of that, there might be less concern for it. The ones that were trapping and hunting, you know, they still have a attachment to the watershed. But a couple of generations later, you don't see that.
Disappear.
The electronics.
It's funny you say that, Mike. Today, I introduced Derek to somebody who is an old timer, Mr. Bohannick, who taught me how to muskrat and fish and trap.
Okay.
And he's still like that. He still bow hunts only. He's 76, and I was like, Derek, this is one of the guys that taught me about out here. And talking to him was like, just what you said, Jamie, it was a different life back then. He said, we took care of it out here. He said, once the industries came in and we actually would fight to stop them. He was telling me when we were kids, Jamie, we'd get so mad because they were taking away our hunting land.
Yeah.
For muskrat pelts and beaver pelts, and you know, because the mink, we used to have minks all over,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow. And
Matter
what
of respect.
and what happened? We've lost that somewhere,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and we have to recapture that.
We'll recapture some of it in a different way.
I feel like that goes back to what she said, actually, and that's putting it in the minds of young kids, because that will actually stick and make a difference in society, not
agree.
tomorrow, but years from now.
Yeah. One of the things our organization has done, and I think it was very successful, is that we had poster contests, and we still do,
Oh, yeah.
and so we asked students to draw what they do at Wolf Lake or George Lake and so we get some posters that have waterfalls and and mountains in them, but we have some. And I remember she was in the elementary school, and she submitted one, and instead of just writing on a regular sheet of paper, she had pasted them together because she drew everything she knew about Wolf Lake.
Oh, cool.
And I thought, well, she didn't follow the rules, so we couldn't really judge her in the same vein as we did the others. But she just had this marvelous memory, and so we gave her an honorable mention because it was really good. And then I later found out that she was a special ed student.
Oh, cool.
And her mother called me up and she says, you know, this is the first thing that she's ever won in her life.
Way to go,
And it was
Mike.
just honorable mention.
Yeah, that's so cool that you recognized it.
But, I mean, and she was an amazing person. I mean, that part of her brain that was working very well, it was amazing, you know. But that program, I hope kind of introduced these kids at a younger age. And some of them drew just amazing things. Remember that one that they had, and it really almost brought tears to my eyes. She drew from the back a father and a son and a dog. They were fishing. And it was just, I looked at it and I said, wow. This is,
You can actually see
Yeah.
the art in it, right?
yeah, and the kind of the passion.
That's special.
The love and the
that was-
memory and
that was special.
beautiful.
And that's, and now I regret not, stealing it from the girl that drew it or kept it because it was so neat. I should have framed it and asked her if I could frame it and hang it, but, because I thought it was good. So that's kind of what as an organization we have done in the past and continue to do. It's usually it's part of one of, or both of our, couple of our festivals that we do during the year. But anyway, I don't want to talk about what we do. as an organization, but I'm really interested in what other people are doing. And we've been at this for almost an hour, so I kind of want to kind of go around the table, and I'm going to start with you, Derek, and we'll go around this way, and ask you what you would like to see done in, say, the next 10 years. What improvements to the areas that you're familiar with, and what you would like to see in 10 years.
I would like to see a centralized location where people can get together in a community building and take watershed classes or anything of that sort for a reduced cost, because it's so detrimental to the environment.
Well, honestly, I hope that there will be more hardcore laws against, you know, certain types of pollutants and littering, because I mean, even though I'm pretty sure littering is against the law, people still people still don't really care, and I think we need to be stricter about these types of things. And so, yeah, I do hope that it moves to, you know, the laws, like up to federal laws.
I'm going to be a little bit more old school. I think we need to put down the cell phones and the computers on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and as families or single parents or couples with kids or grandkids and nieces and nephews, you get out into the environment. Do what you can to volunteer with you guys or anything outside individually. Just get into nature and start cleaning up. Help be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. And we have to get that out there.
Next 10 years to get everything done, I think we just have to have unification of everybody involved. And to do that, I've learned the last 7 years is actually the hardest thing. It's easy to clean up, but it's hard to get commitment. And that's what I think we need to do, is really get committed and have the people that do put in that time to get these children brought up.
Yeah, I agree with what he said, especially with the stakeholders in the industry around the area, because I think that's the biggest part. Because if they're not behind it, if they're motivated by other things, then all the good intentions in the world aren't going to get you anywhere. You have to have the people who are really in power to be willing to do it.
Hear, hear.
Okay, and I'd kind of just like to respond to what Mary mentioned, because I think you can use the cell phones to have students go out and take pictures of nature.
We can turn it into like a Pokemon thing or something.
Well,
to where
there's
nature thing.
there's iNaturalist,
yes.
where you go out. We use that for the BioBlitz. iNaturalist, you take a picture and it's graded by a group.
Yeah, but that's for old people like us.
No,
we
but-
should create our own app, and whatever
Something younger.
pictures that they fill out or how many pictures they get, like we could give them an actual physical reward.
There you go,
Yeah,
Mike.
like-
He's your new. That's a good idea. Derek, you come up with an app for us. That'd be tight for the Wolf Lake
Well,
identification app.
Yep.
Actually, one thing, if you don't mind if I interject.
Yeah.
Kelly and I, my wife and co-host, who can't make it tonight because she's in a play. That's beside the point. I didn't say that, right? Now, we came up with an idea inspired by your meeting yesterday of us sponsoring a show, and we're going to try, because we live in Highland, do it with the Highland schools, have kids use their portable devices to submit pictures of the environment to us. And then we get a group of teachers together, or maybe people involved in the environment, and select the winner and award them a special gift. And that's a good use of their device. It teaches them something other to do than sit around Snapchatting and all that they do.
You should pick the top 3 winners. That way, it gives more incentive.
And kick
I
it up
want
a
to call
notch.
the app "Get Off My Lawn."
And kick it up a notch. Not only have them take a picture, but whoever identifies that species correct. That way, they have to research. You don't want to just have them take a picture. There's no ownership then.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so Kevin.
And then
Or if they
I'll
bring you
volunteer,
a
I'll
short
volunteer my
paragraph.
time. If you need someone to go down species, you got my information.
Inviting you on our show, so.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
We sent you a link to all of our stuff, so.
I definitely gonna
Awesome.
hook up with that, because I wanted to talk to you about filming stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to.
Or to add to it, you could have them write a short paragraph about it, and that way they know, or you know that they know it's an understanding.
We'd love to get you guys involved in that, because we
I'd
just
make it
came up with the
handwritten.
idea, and we thought it would be a great way to at least get our local community involved. And we're doing a whole series about the Highland, the town of Highland schools.
Are you familiar with Highland Rookery?
Well, that, or, as a, just
We're gonna be doing
their
work out
general
there.
environment. Things that are around their house and things that, I walk around here, I'm just absolutely amazed. A lot because of the rookery, but a lot of the nature just right across from Kennedy from us, the amount of deer that we see.
Oh, my.
All of that is getting ready to be redone. There was a
Yeah.
$1 million grant was just rewarded, that
Mhm.
we're gonna be working on it. We're gonna be doing some water work.
Ah.
We're taking out invasive species, which I'll bring in all native species to that area, along the Little Calumet through Highland. That was just put through Audubon Great Lakes. Nat Miller is the facilitator. And I'll send you that information, because that's something we always get kids involved in. And anything we could do, especially, we believe, yes, it's Highland, but this is the Calumet region. We're all connected.
Yeah.
And we're just thinking Highland because that's where we live. We know it's a school. In fact, we're doing a special series on the school, so we
Oh,
think
how
this
cool.
will be a good dovetail in.
It's a start, and if that goes well, you could take it other places.
Yeah, model it.
One of the things we'd like to do is actually do an official Wolf Lake watershed map,
Okay.
to where you and I get together and we'll come up with something where we literally do it and get it official.
Yeah. Do you know who would be a good person to involve in that? It would be Dave Dolak.
David Dodak.
He's training is in geology, so teaches at Columbia College,
How do you spell his last name?
Dolak.
Is there a young lady who still works for the state of Indiana, the watershed? She was getting ready to retire, and I was going to hook up with her to help her do a watershed map, but something happened. I can't.
Yeah.
Did she retire?
No, I don't think so.
Because she volunteered her service at the one meeting.
Oh,
So
did
I'm going to
she?
reach back out to her,
Okay.
if that's all right with you.
Yeah. That was anything that reconnects with nature is okay with me.
All right, 'cause I think that would be cool.
We haven't had a roundtable. We need to reconnect in the,
Well,
have a
that's,
roundtable meeting.
well, that's what we're having.
Well, yeah.
So, one of the things that the Legacy Foundation does is that if any one of us wants to expand on what we've discussed tonight into a project, that they would award a $1,000 grant to it. Right, and it would have to be what's been discussed tonight. And if you think of an idea
The watershed map.
that, right?
Yep.
Okay,
I'm talking an official, I'll do that with you.
okay. So, and then I think we could probably include like somebody like Dave Dolak. who-
Dave and I'm thinking maybe Gary Sullivan from Wetlands, said he'd help out too.
Because one of the things that we really need is to know the boundaries of the watershed.
Yes,
And that's never been done.
Mhm.
But Dave Dolak did some studies for the dunes, for the shoreline group, when he was, I think it was early in his life, maybe out of college. But he did those, so he's familiar with particularly with water.
okay, because I figured it out with George Roadcap.
Yeah.
In Illinois, I have the Illinois side done
Okay,
up to like Avenue O, so
Okay.
now I have to do the Wolf Lake, Lake George, Powderhorn, and, because you know where Powderhorn splits, the natural back and the front, which is dug? Powderhorn, the front lake,
Yeah.
is where they excavated for the toll road, and then it's a 12-foot kind of berm, and it goes to the back, which
Right.
is twice. That's where Wolf Lake actually comes to.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
From-
That is your watershed.
Okay.
Powderhorn is man-made, never existed. So that actually comes under
Yeah,
the Deer watershed.
In the 50s.
Yes.
Because they dredged that for sand to, when they were building the tollway. And so they dug it deep enough to where now it's a good fishing area.
Yeah. So
But-
that whole back
But
end
it
of
was
it,
just a
though,
wetland.
it's all part of your
That-
stuff.
Before the 50s, it was pretty much wetland, I think.
Yeah, up until the back, that was a rail yard where the lake is.
Yeah.
I've dug up some old, but Deers joined the mapping club, so I joined it with them. We're getting maps from like the 1800s.
Is that right?
I pulled one up, an old rail yard, narrow gauge. That's how old it goes back there.
Wow. Back in the old.
Yeah, 1800s, 1850s and
Yeah.
60s.
So what if, to get a really detailed map of the watershed, what if we were to use the CAD program I was talking to you about and actually create a 3D model on the computer, and that
Yeah.
way we could bring it up on a projection screen and just scroll through it, you know.
Derek's also done drilling,
Okay.
water veins, watersheds, so
Okay.
him and I, he's put some drawings together for watersheds that we need for, November, whenever. He actually where he's done 3D carvings that we study off of to show water veins, how they circulate, where they go.
Okay.
So we're, what's it called, CAD?
Computer assistant drafting.
We're purchasing a
Mhm.
CAD system,
Okay.
so he could start doing all that. So that's,
So I'll have to put Derek on the invitation list. then.
yeah. Well, I already signed him up. He's
You already
under our
signed him?
company, yeah.
Okay, good. All right. I think I'd just like to wrap it up now. But we can't completely wrap it up because we have some survey here
Oh, wonderful.
that Abby filled out one yesterday, so I don't think there's any reason to
Oh,
fill it out
well,
again.
actually, I asked to have it emailed to me. I put down electronic.
Oh, okay, good, good.
Yeah.
Okay. You, Pat, you did one.
Just do it. Thank you.
Okay. And since, I know on this survey, they asked for your,
They're asking for
Zip
our
code.
age, Michael.
no, yes, they do. Uh-huh.
I'm a little uncomfortable.
That's at the end. But,
The camera now, if you like.
but since we all work with the environment and the environment goes across state lines, I put down as my zip code Whiting's because I spend so much time in Whiting. So that was even a difficult question.
You want me to read it for you?
Yeah.
You want to take a card?
No, I don't.
Or you get glasses?
No, you read it.
Do we need pens or,
Could I have one, please, sir?
yeah?
Thank you. How old are you?
Mike, you look
55 to 59.
So anyway, I just want to thank everybody
several
for
statements.
coming here and